Efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare tonight. We've had some developments in Washington, D.C. They're essentially dead. In a statement, Senator John McCain said he could not, quote, in good conscience, vote for the Graham-Cassidy proposal, end quote. Senator Rand Paul also dead set against it. Senator Susan Collins is, as she often is, leaning against an issue, and this bill. So it's going to be tough sledding. Joining me now to discuss the repeal and replace efforts, the dogged determination to kill it, and the Alabama primary, and much more, Ed Rollins, Great America PAC strategist. He served in 3 presidential administrations, chief political advisor to the House Republican leadership, and the smartest man in politics.
You're most kind. You know, the critical thing on this health care bill is let's get it over with. Let's not play another week here of trying to get one bill.
No sugarcoating?
No, it's done. I think there's another 3 or 4 hiding under the cover, and I think to a certain extent they've never made the sale for it. And I think at the end of the day, it ought to be a good lesson for the president now. If he wants to have a tax bill, which is very important, he's going to have to go sell it. He's going to have to basically give a nationwide speech. He's going to have to go across this country and tell people why it makes a big difference, because it will.
You know, I understand, and I certainly would not argue with you. I do, though, want to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
And that is, this is a legislative effort, and this is something that requires the energy, the persuasion, and the alliance of Paul Ryan in the House and Mitch McConnell in the Senate.
Right.
How much of this nonsense are we going to see the conference put up with?
Well, their heart was.
They desperately need leadership.
But their heart wasn't in either one of them. I mean, McConnell has never been enthused about health care.
I love what he said. His idea of an endorsement of this was, it's better than the status quo.
Right. You know, and so and the junior senator from his home state is one of the no votes, Rand Paul. So. And I think to a certain extent, Ryan had other thoughts about what should be in a bill, and I just don't think there was ever the enthusiasm. And I think this is something they've all promised. I mean, they're going to pay a price. If this is the debate in the 2018 election, it's going to be a nasty debate for Republicans.
I want to turn to Mike Pence. The vice president is acting curious to me, and I want to get your sense of it. He was out pushing tax reform in Indiana today. First of all, that's an interesting place to rev it up. But he was using some first-person singulars. He's going to do this, and he's going to do that. He's starting to look like what people suspected he might, and that is he's running his own political organization, and it seems like it's not designed to support the President of the United States. Certainly not as much to me as it should.
Well, at the end of the day, there is no place for Mike Pence unless President Trump succeeds. You can't basically be putting the 46th presidency inaugurals together, assuming something's going to happen to Trump. If Trump's not successful, he won't be successful. He's got a better political operation than most vice presidents have, but the reality is he's there, and he is part of this team, and he better be a part of this team. I happen to like Mike Pence, but I think he's got a big task ahead of him, and he can't get too far.
Very likable fellow. No doubt about that.
And you know, Indiana's his old state, but he's going to have to play by the Trump game.
Well, so why did he create a PAC back in May for himself?
I've never seen that. Equally as important, I couldn't quite understand why the president had gone out and basically had his reelection campaign all set up to go. I think the president obviously needs a PAC to go sell his programs. Not worry about getting reelected. I think this really is coming down to this president had a great week. This president had a very strong week. I think the combination of the way he assisted in the various tragedies that were and this speech this week. I mean, he was a dominant force in this week of UN.
Is he ever not a dominant force? There may be weeks where somebody doesn't like what he's done or what he said or whatever. But he's a dominant force everywhere.
In the year and a half that he's been on the national stage, there's been nobody else has ever taken more than half an hour away from the conversation about him. And I think to a certain extent, this was a big, magnificent week. And the tragedy of the McCain saying no.
I love the United Nations speech. I got to tell you, I'm going to say it again.
Right.
I think it is the best speech ever by a president of the United States at the United Nations. And it was just that powerful.
And even the detractors couldn't do very much to detract. I mean, it was a very the clarity was so significant, and the power of the presentation,
and the intelligence of the presentation.
Right.
So let me turn to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Imran Awan scandal, her IT consultant. I mean, this is a scandal that the left has succeeded so far, and the left-wing nut national media have succeeded in burying. Where is the prosecution? Where is this going?
Well, there is no prosecution unless the Justice Department basically decides to step it up, or the Congress itself. Her people were involved in everybody's stuff, technical stuff. I would think they would be appalled. I would think Democrats across this country, including Mrs. Clinton, would be appalled at what
she's going to get right to the head of the line on that.
So, at the end of the day, I think she's back to where she should be, just a member of Congress. But I think the reality is this is a big scandal, and we need to start unraveling it.
Where is the Justice Department? Where is the Justice Department?
Don't ask me.
They seem to have no. I mean, seriously, the leadership of the Justice Department seems to have no guts, no principles.
There is no leadership. I mean, Mueller has taken the ball, and the Attorney General is off doing immigration stuff and drug intervention in California, and the deputy is basically.
Good Lord God.
And the deputy is doing nothing. So my sense is Mueller is the guy who's running that department, dominating that department, putting a team together that's a very significant.
It looks like somebody flipped him the keys to the entire damn government.
He's got the whole government, and I think to a certain extent.
Well, then he needs to go because the people's will.
He's also overstepping. He's clearly overstepping the bounds.
Disgusting. And by the way, Watergate, all about surveillance by a president. And this scandal now is about surveillance. I mean, for crying out loud, the CIA surveilling the Senate Intelligence Agency with oversight over the CIA. Right. The head of the CIA under President Obama lying about it, finally having to admit it. We're watching it with the FBI, lying James Comey, lying Robert Mueller, because in each instance, there is a conflict of interest that is just overwhelming.
Well, the president has a lot on his plate, but nothing could be more important than cleaning this element up, and that's what he came here to do.
Should he fire Mueller?
I would basically certainly take charge of Mueller. I mean, I think he pays a political price if he does, but I would ask for his resignation.
Yeah, and light up those investigations.
Right.